That I want to say first is I was married to the idea of being an entrepreneur. So I was never married to a particular business model or particular business market or anything like that. So the specific idea of Wishberry started with my sister's wedding. When she got married, like any other Indian couple, wrote blessings only on the wedding card. But she still got gifts, and gifts that absolutely didn't make sense. I mean, photo frames, vases, crockery, etc. And I remember thinking at that point that when I get married, I want to make sure that my gifts are actually of meaning. And when I went abroad for my undergrad, that's when I was open to the concept of gift registry, where you go to a store, choose what you want, ideally as wedding presents, and friends can then go to the store and pick that stuff up for your wedding. So it's sort of a win-win situation, right? You get what you want, friends don't have to think about what to give you. And so I thought to myself that why not bring this concept to India? You know, while we can't do it in a physical store, we can probably do it in an online store. So that's how Wishberry first started, almost as a crowdfunding website for gifts around personal occasions like weddings and birthdays.
Over here.
Well, there were a couple of challenges. I think the most obvious was operational. In the US, you have nationwide stores. You know, Macy's or Bloomingdale's has presence in all different cities. You don't have that in India. And even if you do, you have it in stores like Home Stop and Central and Sobo, which are not necessarily aligned with my target audience, which is sort of the upper middle class, upper class of India in terms of the products and brands they offer. So I think that was one big issue, was we didn't have stores that spanned across the country to have an in-store model. Like they do in the US. Second is inventory management here is very poor. Even a store like Chroma, which people look up to, does not currently have an online shopping website. So even they don't do online sales and online inventory management. So that was another big problem, is how do we make sure that the gift that a person chooses is available by the time his friend buys it for him. So those were the two issues operationally. And then I would say the other bigger issue which we didn't fully understand was cultural or more consumer behavior related. What we did is we interviewed a lot of potential clients in terms of couples getting married, and said that, okay, this is a business idea for you in terms of making sure that your gifts are meaningful. Would you want to use this? And they were, very happy with doing so, and we thought that the model would work. What we didn't realize is we didn't ask the right audience, which is actually their parents who organize and pay for the wedding, because they weren't okay with it. So we went all out, 9 months, got all these products on board, launched our website, and while the couples wanted to use it, their parents were not okay because they thought it was asking, which is something not okay with the Indian culture. So I think that was a bigger challenge, is just getting over the mindset of the client base for such a concept from the West. I actually, in retrospect, would have loved to do a pilot. I think that is the biggest mistake we made, is not doing one. I feel Indians in general are very perfectionist in our attitudes. I mean, we all bred to be doctors, engineers, and get 99%, right? And I think that mindset trickled into my first venture, which is getting an ideal website up, getting all the right brands up, whether it's a Good Earth, a Chroma, Kaya, everybody. And so I spent way too much time, almost I would say 9 to 12 months, in amassing the different brands and putting them online, even though they didn't have the infrastructure, product catalogs, etc. And also just building the ideal technology, right, with the perfect amount of features and everything. What I didn't realize is I should have had a bare minimum website with a bare minimum catalog and actually gone live with a few clients and seen whether they were even open to the concept, notwithstanding which products we actually have on the catalog. Because I would have known very easily that as long as the product is in, as an actual tangible product, like a brand, the couple's not okay with it because their parents are not okay with it. But we realized that too late, because we had all these cool brands and cool products on our website, and then we found out that we had to delete the entire catalog and just focus on charity. So I think piloting is critical, right? And do not be a perfectionist, right? Make a simple website, have a few things online, and go on with a few customers, so at least you can test your business model with all those issues around culture that you would not have seen in your customer surveys and marketing tools and gimmicks, right? So I think that was probably the biggest lesson that I learned upfront. So I would would say there are two things. One is, yes, we did have some initial targets that, at least let's do 50 weddings in the first quarter, and we didn't hit that. So that was our first red flag, that it's strange that in wedding season, which is we launched about August, so that's just before, the November, December, Jan season, we didn't hit the 50 target. And so that was our first sign of trouble. But I think a lot of our business evolution was going with the flow, and letting clients dictate what they did with our product. So while we had a couple of successful weddings in the beginning, one of our big weddings that had, I think, a total of 3 to 4 lakhs of gift value was 80% charity. And the client herself said that, why don't we have one gift option, which is just donating to my mother-in-law's trust instead of asking for tangible gifts. And so then we realized, this seems to be working better than the physical gift. So we said, okay, let's start driving that. And then we saw an uptake there. And it was funny because it was the same time where the Mumbai Marathon came up, which was in Jan of 2011. And one of our clients who got married and used our website was also running the marathon. So then they said, instead of making it a gift registry and a wedding website, can we just do the same thing but raise money for their NGO, which was Teach for India? So then we saw great uptake there. So automatically we decided, okay, let's slowly phase out the gifting model and focus more so towards charity, both through weddings and through marathons. So I would say, yes, it's a little bit of metrics, but also a lot of just seeing what the customer wants to do with what you're willing to offer. I mean, just taking off from where I stopped. So as I already mentioned, we moved from gifting towards charity fundraising, right? Both around weddings and also around marathons. We did that for a few months. We tried partnering with a couple of the smaller marathons, like the Bangalore Midnight Marathon. There was a Goa River Marathon, where we tried becoming a charity partner and driving participation and fundraising around the event. That's when we realized that Wishberry, while we are good at targeting individuals looking to raise money online for whatever purpose they might want to, around whatever occasion, be it a wedding or a marathon, we weren't very good at really driving philanthropy in its true sense, which is getting corporates involved to give CSR budgets into participation, or getting NGOs involved to actually drive some of their supporters to participate just for the sake of raising money. So that's when we realized that our target audience has to stay true to what we used to do, which is individual-centric raising. So we said, okay, if we can't grow in terms of our target base, can we grow in terms of what else they can do with our platform? And again, it was sort of go with the flow, because my then vice president's boyfriend was just starting a band, and his birthday was coming up, and he said that, look, why do I need to ask for charity around my birthday? Why can't I just ask for a new guitar? And he made a fundraising page, if I would like to call it then, to get money from all his friends in the form of birthday presents, but for his guitar, so he could start a band and cut his first album. That's when we realized that, holy shit, that you can do so much more with the power of the crowd, which is many people giving you small amounts. So we said, why just limit it to charity when you can do it for movies, you can do it for music, you can do it for, I don't know, climbing a mountain or sailing across the world. And that was also when Kickstarter was coming into the limelight in the US with the entire Jobs Act, which legitimizes crowdfunding for equity or for investments. So we said, okay, if it's going to the next level in the US, maybe India is ready for level 1, which is just pure play crowdfunding. So that's when we came into our newest avatar, which is focusing on the individual, focusing on crowdfunding, but going beyond charity into crowdfunding for pretty much anything that the person wants. Yeah, actually, an interesting analogy here is that for some reason, when we thought of getting into crowdfunding in a big way, we thought movies would be the best way. And why? Because Onir, he recently won a national award for his film I Am, which was made in 2009, but was crowdfunded. And so, Forbes and NDTV and everybody was talking about it. So we said, okay, if this guy did it in 2009 and Shyam Benegal had done it in 1976, the entire Amul campaign where, farmers contributed towards an online TV promotion for their cooperative, we said, okay, chalo, let's do movies. Why? Because everybody's talking about it. And what is interesting is now movies has turned out to be the most risky genre of crowdfunding campaigns. And the reason why is, in a movie, there are too many stakeholders. So there's a producer who has to fund the damn thing. Then you have a director, but then even at the director and producer, you still need actors. Then you still need post-production. Then you need distribution. So there's so many movies that are made and are not distributed because PVR refuses to touch them, right? So we realized that the reason why this is a problem is, suppose you gave to a movie campaign and the reward given promised to you was a promo pass, right? One of those trailers or whatever, secret shows that are done. But if the movie is not distributed, you can't redeem that, so you feel unsatisfied as a client of Wishberry. You will blame Wishberry, not the movie maker, because we are the ones who collected the money from you. Versus music as a genre, we thought, wouldn't be that big because, there's so many bands and all that. But we realized that's actually the most lucrative, because in the case of a band, the product, the distribution, everything is in the band's control. The band gets the money, the band writes the song, the band sings the song, and then the band distributes it online for free. So that's when we realized that our entire market focus was wrong in the beginning, even though the entire industry was talking about it only for that market, which is movies.